My name is John Howkins and I'm a sales coach. I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs. What really set things off in my life was my mom ended up cheating on my dad with my sister's boyfriend, and it was pretty chaotic. You know, my sister was obviously upset. She ended up leaving. My dad was furious. He ended up leaving as well. So it's kind of just kind of felt like I was abandoned at one point in my life, and no one was really there. And you know, that's when I started using drugs and alcohol, and school was super challenging. I had a lot of these beliefs that I wasn't smart, and it was rough. I ended up, getting into a lot of fights. I was an angry kid, and I ended up getting, expelled from high school because of that. And that's when I just wanted a family. I wanted to be a part of something, and that's, fortunately, was hanging out with the wrong people, and joined a gang, and I thought it was, they wanted to help me, but it's more like a friend of me, I guess. So from that, all my friends basically went to jail. I was the lucky one. I was able to get out, which was great. I somehow came back to grade 12 and graduated. Through that experience, I was just kind of going from job to job. I was working McDonald's, chicken factory, construction, you name it, I tried it. And the problem is I realized that it didn't matter how much harder I worked than anyone else, I was still getting paid the same. And it was just really disheartening to know that, someone else could be slacking off, and, I could be working my tail off, and we're both getting paid the exact same. So I started to have a sour attitude when it came to employment. I started slacking off, and I was getting fired from a lot of jobs, or I would just quit. And I got to the point where I knew that employment just didn't seem like an option that I wanted to go down. The transition into sales was more or less wanting to become self-employed. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to make my rules. I didn't want to have someone tell me when to wake up and what time I had to work till. I saw an ad in the paper actually for a sales job, and that's when I got my first mentor. His name was Dean, and he taught me that, sales is a skill that everyone needs to have no matter what. It doesn't matter what business you're in, but I needed to learn how to become self-employed. The issue that I found was I was taking an employee mindset into being self-employed. When I'm not working hard, I'm slacking off, it obviously affected my sales, and I wasn't making any sales at all. At the time, I was living with my mom still, and she'd always say, why don't you get a real job? Which I'm sure everyone's heard before. And it was just really disheartening coming home to that all the time. Bad attitude, I'm not working that hard because I have this employee mindset. And every day I'm coming home just getting ridiculed. My friends are laughing at me. This was my reality. Like, I was trying to be self-employed. I wanted to, be my own boss. I wanted to learn a skill, and that skill was sales. I heard one day at the sales office that someone's like, man, you just gotta fake it till you make it. And I was kind of a naive person. I was like, I like that, fake it until you make it. So, I kind of took it the wrong way, and I started to exaggerate my sales. I started to exaggerate how well I was doing, and it became kind of this big facade that I was putting on. And I'd come home and I'd say, hey, my mom, hey, did you make a sale? I was like, yeah, I made a sale. And she's like, oh, congratulations. And that felt good. It felt good to get that kind of encouragement. And then that went on for like a couple of months. She just thought I was making all these sales. In reality, I was suffering. I wasn't achieving success that I wanted, and I was just trying to fake it until I made it. What ended up happening was I came home from a sales trip one day, and there was actually a letter from my mom. Basically said that I need to be a man now. I gotta grow up. And she ended up moving out. The house was completely empty when I came back from the sales trip. At one point I was kind of in denial. I was just like, oh, cool. I got my own place. I'm gonna get my roommate. So I called my best friend. I was like, yeah, my mom's gone. You want to move in? And we ended up just partying that entire month. Through a bunch of parties, and I wasn't studying, I wasn't learning about sales. I was just used to just getting by. And I ended up coming home one night, and there was a pink eviction notice on the door. And that's when, I opened the door and I tried turning on the lights. They cut the electricity off because I wasn't paying the bills. I go to the fridge, I was hungry, there's nothing in the fridge. It's like you open the fridge again just to check, just to make sure there's nothing in it, and nothing was in the fridge. And at that point, I was just like, I was in the pitch black. Like, there's completely dark in the house, so you can't see anything. My room's in the basement, so I ended up finding a candle and walked down to the basement, and I sat in my bed and I just felt so alone. I didn't know what to do. I was looking for an answer and there was no one to answer my call for help. I see the candle kind of swaying in the light, and I walked over to grab it to bring it over to my bed, and I saw a book sitting there from my mentor. He told me, "John, you got to read this book. It's going to change your life." And it was that moment that I ended up opening the book. It was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And the book sat there for probably 4 months collecting dust. And it was in the moment of just me finally surrendering and saying, dropping the ego, letting go of the ego, letting go of everything, and saying, man, like, I got nothing. I don't want to quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up, but I need to surrender. And it was in that moment I opened the book up, and it seemed like the words were just speaking to me. It was like a foreign language of positive attitude, your story, your beliefs, your words matter, all these things that you think are just hokey pokey when it first came out. And it was in that moment that I realized that I can't fake it until I make it. I have to believe it until I achieve it. It got to the point where, I started to believe things and started to achieve success. I was going to the gym, I was working out, sales were climbing, ended up being the top manager in the vacuum office, and ended up getting recruited to a door-to-door company. And that year I was the top rookie, second year as top experience, third year as top manager. And I finally had the success that I've always wanted. And it was only until I actually started to reach out for coaching that really transformed my life. I invested in a 1-year program through the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, and they said it was going to be one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your entire life. And coming from a life of grit and adversity, I took on that challenge head on, bull by the horns. And that course, it taught me how to be a coach, and more importantly, how to transform my life. And that's when the Phoenix emerged. And after I graduated, I etched this tattoo in my arm just to really remember that transformational period in my life. And that's when I became a sales coach. The difference between me and other coaches is a lot of coaching is just surface level based coaching, where I was actually taught an ontological methodology that really creates a paradigm shift that creates ultimate change, not just change long term, but a transformational change. You don't just go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's a metamorphosis we're talking about. That's real transformation. So it was through this ontological methodology that we were using that, my clients started to see not just, small, minuscule things. They were literally transforming their life. And that's when I knew that this was something powerful that I needed to share with other people. I wanted to be on the stage and let people know about, this new type of coaching that's available that can really change their life. Life can be a real bitch sometimes, and that's the reality of it. Life's not easy. I wish I could tell you things are gonna get easier. I wish I could tell you that, the weight is gonna get lighter, but it's just not. That's not the case. You have to endure the flames like the phoenix. You have to transform your life, and you're gonna get through it. If you can, lay on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. So you got to keep fighting for what you want, and you have to believe it until you achieve it. My name is John Howkins, and I'm a sales coach. I help small business owners and entrepreneurs increase their income and transform their lives. If you're ready to take things to the next level, I would love to be on that path with you. Believe it until you achieve it.